The whole idea of working on punches in Muay Boran is very similar to Muay Thai from the beginning. We are working on basics, so you got to gain a certain proficiency when you're doing the basic strikes. If you need to do these techniques without having to think about it, then they will just come out. It's just like fighting itself. They have to come natural. They have to be like conditioned response, like walking. If you have to think about these techniques, then they're not really techniques that you can apply at the moment. They have to come natural. So the whole idea is to keep drilling these techniques over and over again like you would do in Muay Thai. If we're fighting right here, obviously I want to work on my straight punches, my hooks, my uppercuts, because they're the simplest techniques and those are the punches that I would count on over and over again. The difference between Muay Thai and Muay Boran comes when you apply other techniques to throw your opponent off. That's when you throw the round punches, the slides, you're getting back up because you want to make sure you keep your distance because you're also thinking about not getting taken down. And then mixing all the other stuff, your hammer fist, your knuckle punches, because then you're not talking about sport fighting anymore, because when you're talking about sport Muay Thai, you're really talking about fighting with your gloves on. And when you're doing it in Muay Boran, you have to think about fighting bare knuckle. That's why we have the opportunity to use palm strikes to the face, knuckle punches to the temple, and these overhands and all these other techniques that are very useful when you don't have your gloves on. But as far as the basics are concerned, they're very, very similar to Muay Thai because you have to make sure that you have a certain amount of proficiency when you do these techniques. You can't think about it. If he throws a punch, you have to be able to block right away. If he throws a punch, you have to parry, you have to counter right away. Then you can apply all these other sort of unorthodox punches, elbows, knees, and so on. And that's when you are able to apply all your Muay Boran techniques for self-defense. In a real self-defense situation, we also have to consider the fact that maybe this person is not really a trained fighter, or maybe he would just stand there and try to pick a fight. He tries to grab me, okay, then I could just boom, I could just throw techniques without having to worry so much about a counter per se, or me having to bob and weave and do other things that I would have to do if he was a trained fighter. So self-defense wise, it's a little bit different as well. Still, we have to take into consideration that everything is done bare knuckle. So even if I punch him, boom, it will hurt more because I'm punching him with my knuckles rather than wearing gloves. So if I hit him in the sternum area, it will still hurt him, especially in the face. Of course, I can even still punch him in the groin. I can do palm strike. I can do heel, palm heel right there. So this is the difference between doing it for sport and doing it for self-defense. Once you gain proficiency in the basics of punching, like I show you guys, or girls with straight punches, hooks, uppercuts, then you can apply all the unorthodox strikes, the overhands, the hammer fist, the knuckle punches, and so on, the palm strikes. And then you also start thinking about applying everything in broken rhythm. But when I talk about broken rhythm, you're talking about working on your timing. Timing, knowing when your opponent's going to come in, when he tries to come in, boom, that's when you strike him, right? When he tries to throw a jab, for instance, boom, you have to counter right away, even if you have to attack the attack at the same time. So you have to have the timing. Also, you have to work on faking, faking, boom, throwing your opponent off, whatever you need to do, throw him off with a kick and then punch. So these are different ways of throwing broken rhythm. Also having timing that your opponent can distinguish, as well as applying all your other weapons, such as your kicks, your elbows, your knees, and so on, okay? So all these things need to be done proficiently, and you need to do it without having to think about it for you to be comfortable with it. If you cannot apply the basic punches, then there's no reason to apply the unorthodox strikes. Yes, maybe if you do find yourself in a situation in the street, maybe if you throw one overhand, one wild punch, maybe it'll work against an untrained opponent, but you can't count on that all the time because it's not always going to work. And so you first want to train your basic punches proficiently before you start applying and adding all the unorthodox strikes that you see in Muay Boran. And then, once you get the timing, once you get all the timing, the faking, the broken rhythm, and everything else in place, then you can move on to doing other techniques or applying them in different ways, adding your other strikes, other takedowns, and so on and so forth, okay? So that's the whole concept behind punching in Muay Boran. First get the basics, just like you would in Muay Thai, but you can go beyond that because it's not sport. You go into self-defense and practical applications, then you can apply and add all your unorthodox striking, punching, and everything else that's in between.